Hey guys, what's going on? This is Conic from GosuGamers.
And this is Manmode, also from GosuGamers.
We're here to talk today about Lunara and Greymane, the two newest heroes coming to the Nexus. We had a chance to sit down and play them at BlizzCon, actually. We got our thoughts down, but we kind of just wanted to express more of what we thought about these heroes in terms of competitive play and in terms of how fun they are. So let's start with Lunara. She's probably going to be the one coming after Cho'Gall. What were your impressions with Lunara, like in terms of competitiveness? What did you think of her?
She was my personal favorite. Wasn't quite as impressed with Greymane, but Lunara is really, really, really cool. She's got like unparalleled mobility, which is really useful for somebody with her kit. She doesn't do a whole lot of like damage up front. She's more of like a Rainer style.
Yeah. She prefers like sustained damage to burst damage.
Yeah, she's very sustainy. She's also dot focused, way more dot focused than like a Nazeebo. Even.
Yeah, which is interesting because Nazeebo is like the dot champion at this point in time.
That was kind of his thing.
Yeah,
now
right.
There's a new, I guess.
There's a new dot queen in town.
Queen of dots. Yeah.
There you go.
She's really strong.
She's
got good damage. She can't put it out as quick as some other heroes, but it's there, and it's really, really annoying, especially in lane. Little bit harder for her on bigger maps because she doesn't have a mount. She's just got natural 20% move speed, but I mean, there are other heroes like that who still get played. So
I was about to say Falstad is one of them. He doesn't get played quite as much, but you know he does shine in his scenarios, especially on smaller maps where he's able to fly around. Since Lunara has a quick way of getting around, it's not too hindering on smaller maps.
Yeah. I would imagine she will be a monster on Haunted Mines.
Oh
just absolutely destroying everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And Battlefield of Eternity, I also see it there, like being able to hop around the middle area.
Oh yeah,
uncontested, dodging skill shots. Since that area is such a big place for fights anyway, like already, it's going to make her kit really shine because she's going to be able to hop around, get through there a lot quicker, be able to get to certain choke points and whatnot.
Speaking of dodging skill shots, both of her ults are so good at harassment.
Oh yeah.
One of them is just straight a harassment tool, which is like the Vine ult, which kind of puts her dot on everything, is a little bit of damage itself. That one is just harassment, but the other one is mobility and harassment. Not as strong physically as the other ult, but definitely being able to reposition yourself in a fight is an amazing ability to have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like an Illidan Q. You get to hop over somebody and reposition yourself really quickly. It's nice.
Yeah, it's not something that can translate really easily into stats, but just having that mobility option there is really a boon to the hero.
Yeah,
I think.
Absolutely. It adds a lot of flexibility.
She's got one of the strongest scouting options in the entire game.
With her wisp. Yeah.
I don't want to say she's ungankable, but she's almost ungankable.
Yeah. If you want to camp her lane, make it so that you can come whenever her wisp is off of cooldown, but like at that point you're losing a lot of time going to other lanes.
Well, the thing is unless you kill the wisp, it will never be off cooldown. It's 45 duration, 45 or I think less than 45 cooldown actually.
It's both 45 cooldown and 45 duration. Just keep in mind that it does die after one hit. So if you go for a gank, you kill it and then you can come back, but
during that time this means you can play safe.
Exactly.
Not overextend. So I mean, I don't know. I think really warning system, and I don't think any other hero really naturally has that.
Yeah, and it has global range, which is something to keep in mind. The Wisp can be repositioned globally. It does take time for the Wisp to move, and it can be killed while it's on its path, but you can reposition it from your core to the enemy's core if you really wanted to. Have it just fly that entire duration. It's possible.
That thing is insane.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree there. Something that you touched on earlier that I want to go back to is her mobility. And talking about her ultis. So the first one you were talking about, her first heroic is like a vine. It's like a skill shot piercing line. It has what, 3 charges on like a 20-second cooldown?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the best harassment tools in the game. It feels like a Jaina Frostbolt, or not Frostbolt, but like pierces, like the talented piercing Frostbolt. Except it's also like you can use it in quick succession, and it also
really
applies to
interesting.
dot, obviously.
What's really interesting about it is you can use an initial one to put the dot on people, and then use your slow. And if you have the talent which increases your dot damage, I don't know the exact percentage on it, but it's big.
Yeah.
During the slow or in slow targets or something, you can use that initial one to set that up, and then do 2 more rapid fire, and they're suddenly taking a crazy amount of damage.
Big amount of damage, yeah, right?
Yeah. You'll definitely need something like a Malfurion against her.
Oh yeah,
something with good sustained damage, or heals over time rather.
Yeah, absolutely. What about her mage option? So at level 13, they were talking about this, about how their vision for a Dryad is like from Warcraft 3. Dryads had really good anti-mage capabilities. So at level 13, she has like greater spell shield, which is like regular spell shield, but it does 75% of magic damage. And then at level 20, she has an option for, it's both a cleanse to her and an ally, as well as removing any harmful damage over time effects or periodic effects on both people. What do you think about that? Like, it's something that we haven't seen before in the game.
So the 13 one, I think, I mean, it's just a stronger option of or of a regular spell shield.
Yeah.
So it'll be used in pretty much the exact same way you would use spell shield again on any other assassin. So like, there's an Asmo stacking comp, something like that. You take it, get rid of that initial burst. It's just stronger. Maybe you could see it be used a little bit more leniently, like really for spell shields on assassins for the most part. They're only going to use it against a big burst, like previously it was against Ignite Kael'thas, stuff like that. You can maybe justify picking it a bit more often just because it's simply stronger now. Level 20 though, I don't know. That'll be really useful, I guess.
Well, keep in mind. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say there's the other level 20 talents. I'm not quite sure about the heroic talents. I don't know exactly what they do. I assume that it's going to be like more damage, bigger range, or something like that. But her other level 20 talent allows her to have a move speed buff on her Z occasionally, so she can activate it to go 80% faster for like 5 seconds or something like that. Yeah, like a Lost Vikings or a Gaul.
Makes her the fastest character in the game.
Oh yeah.
It's decent, I guess you could say. It's really good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say about the sort of semi cleanse though, is I don't really know when you would take that.
Yeah.
I guess if you were really getting punished hard by some kind of soft CC like that, or damage over time or something. It removes damage over time effects, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
The obvious one for me, like you said, was Kael'thas, but like even then, you're removing a living bomb, which will, he'll be able to cast again in 6 seconds.
I guess Lunara is just the perfect counter to Lunara.
Yeah, right. So good.
No, I don't know. I think if you don't have a good cleanse option and you desperately need one, it's decent.
Yeah.
But man, the movement speed, it's way too tempting, I think.
It's a really good option. Two things that we haven't really talked about that I would like to just gloss over quickly are her Q and her W. So her Q is like a very small area. It's a targetable area. It's very small. It detonates after a short period of time.
Yeah, it's got slightly longer range than her auto attack, so it's just a safe option of applying your dot.
Yeah, and it has a 12-second cooldown, I believe. So decently big. And then her W is that she slows. It's activatable to slow all targets that have her dot applied to them, and it reapplies the dots as well. Which is pretty cool. She doesn't have any form of hard CC, but this is definitely like a nice soft CC to complement her kit. Especially if you're spreading the dots around like a good Lunara should. You'll be able to slow
kite better.
Yeah,
she's already pretty good at kiting with movement speed, so
Yeah, it allows her to chase down opponents very easily. The one thing I do like not really like about her is her squishiness. She is pretty squishy, and while she does have increased 20% increased movement speed at all times, she doesn't have any real tools like mobility tools like a dash or a blink or anything like that.
Yeah. And another negative, which is just kind of weird. I know I don't have a lot of experience on her. I've only played her a few games at BlizzCon, but she she's sort of awkward when it comes to orb walking. Because the way she leaps is sort of asymmetrical almost, and it's kind of hard to line up her auto attack cooldown with her movements, and she kind of hops, stands still for a sec, hops. You know,
Yeah,
it's just kind of wonky, I think.
I definitely feel that. It was very awkward handling her. Her options, like the options that are given to you with the hops, are very powerful, but it's definitely something that takes time to get adjusted to. And even then, it does feel awkward, I would say. I played a couple of games with her as well. I played 4 or 5 games with Lunara, and it definitely felt awkward even after 4 or 5 games. Not saying that it shouldn't after 4 or 5 games, but just to keep that in mind that it does feel awkward. It's not just a one-time thing.
Hmm.
But I'm sure good Lunara players will be able to be able to really master that and use her passive effectively, or use her passive movement speed effectively. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, it could just be my inexperience with the character personally,
Yeah,
but we'll see.
yeah,
I'm
for
sure
sure.
she'll be good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see her in action. So let's talk about Greymane, the other hero that was revealed that hasn't come out quite yet. Coming out after Lunara, he is the Worgen hero, so he has a human and a Worgen form. Your initial thoughts? What did you think about him when playing him at BlizzCon?
I was not expecting him at all. He kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
Same with Lenora, I guess, to an extent. Um, but I think he's fun. He's very weird. You definitely don't get the feel for him playing him just a few games at BlizzCon.
Hmm.
I think I'll definitely need more games, probably like 25 or 30 games even before I get a real good feel for him.
Yeah.
Um,
It was very interesting for me. I was talking about this a couple weeks ago, where I was talking about, can we have like a Nidalee or from League of Legends, or a Hell from Smite type hero, where you have the different forms that you can transform in and out of.
mhm.
And then this comes out of nowhere. Like the biggest comparison I see in my mind is Nidalee from League of Legends, where she has a ranged assassin kit on her human form, and then she can transform into a cougar, where she has more melee assassin and mobility type techniques.
Yeah, that sounds
And
about right.
Greymane felt very similar to me. In his human form, he's like an auto attack, like a Rainer type assassin. And he has like a poke option with his Q. It's a straight line. And then he can transform with one of his. He also has an auto attack steroid. I'm sorry. So kind of like Rainer's Inspire, but it's just for himself.
And it
He,
is much stronger than Inspire.
yes, that is true. It is
Far,
stronger than
far
Inspire,
stronger.
and it's able to be prolonged, so you can continue the duration of it by using auto attacks. So the more
Yeah.
auto attacks you pump out during its duration, the longer it goes.
Which
The
is easier
cooldown,
because you've also got more attack speed because
absolutely,
it's a steroid.
absolutely,
I
yeah.
think
It
it's
just works
50%.
so well with itself.
I think it's
But keep in
50%.
mind that the cooldown does not start until the steroid is over. So you can't have literal 100% uptime on it. You can't extend it past its cooldown.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And then he transforms with his E. He jumps to a person in his human form. He's able to do short dashes with like a 3-second cooldown in Worgen form, along with his attack speed steroid is the same in Worgen form as it is in human form. And then transforming back into human form, you roll in a direction. It's called disengage. When people saw it at BlizzCon, they assumed you could only, or some people assumed that you could only roll back, but you can actually roll in any direction. So you can use it to chase enemies down, which is cool. Something that a lot of people weren't expecting from the trailer, because it looked like it was just a pure disengage tool.
Yeah. I I want to talk about his Q really quick, and I also want to talk about his 2 E's really quick.
Sure.
His human Q has a unique, what's the word? Telegraph? It's not really a telegraph because the enemy team doesn't see it. You know, the targeting.
Oh yeah, it's got like
cone.
yeah,
It's unique.
it's a splash
straight,
or whatever.
It's a straight line, and then when it hits, it turns into a cone.
Yep.
Nothing particularly amazing about that. I just thought that was cool. That was a new thing like that. Because I always liked Tyrael's E, because that was also a unique visual cue.
Oh yeah.
For an ability. And his E is, I think, the first ability which has 2 separate targeting, like, I don't know the word for it. The same thing as the Q. It's got 2 different things. And in one condition, it is a targeted ability where you teleport to them and start attacking them, turn the wolf form. And then another one, it's a skill shot, quote unquote. I mean, you don't actually hit with it.
It's a targeted direction, quote unquote skill shot.
Directional ability. There we go. I know. I just thought those were 2 new things that were pretty cool.
Yeah,
could pave the way for more innovative stuff like that.
Absolutely. So a lot of people are thinking of him as kind of like a mixture of Raynor and Zeratul, like mixed into one. I would argue this. I personally think he's pretty solid as a hero. I think he has a good auto attack range. He has great mobility. I mean, his E, both forms can be used very well. It's a little harder to escape in his human form than it is in his Worgen form, but there is definitely still some ability there. You can hop around the battlefield as Greymane pretty easily. His E has like an 8-second cooldown, I believe. So it's not ridiculous, but
keep in mind, to people who may not know, you can stay in either form for as long as you want. It's until you use the ability when you change.
Yep. So you get to tailor what your kit is and how you deal damage based on the situation. So in human form, you have ranged attacks, but in melee form or in werewolf form, your attacks hit harder and you have more of a mobility with your Q, where you can dash on like a 3-second cooldown, a small dash.
Yeah. And his to complement that, his talent tree has a really unique dichotomy to it, where you'll either be buffing him in his human form or his wolf form. I mean, you can go both, but I think it's probably most effective to focus on one or the other.
Yeah.
Depending on how you want to play. And his ults also reflect that. He's got an ult which is primarily a human ult, his Silver Bullet.
Yep.
And he's got an ult which is primarily a Worgen ult, which is
Go for the throat.
Go for the throat. There it is.
There you go.
good.
I'm good on my names.
Memory. There we go.
What can I say? Yeah. I personally thought that was the least impressive part of his kit for me, were his heroics. The Silver Bullet, I believe it's marked for the kill. And Go for the throat. Mark for death, mark for the kill, whatever it is. I found they were both kind of meh. Marked for the kill or marked for death you hunters mark somebody and then you're able to jump to them, which is pretty cool. And then Go for the throat is it's basically like a finishing move. If the target that you kill with it dies within a certain period of time, you get to do it again, and that affects stacks. So if you kill one person and then you kill another person, you get to do it again.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on Go for the throat. I don't think it's very good. It's got too long of a cooldown. It's 120 seconds. That's a tranquility, I think.
That's 2 minutes. That's like a long time. That's indestructible.
Which I guess if you do manage to get it reset is very good, considering the cooldown. But I just think that's a little bit too long for an ability that doesn't do all that much damage.
It wasn't very impressive for damage in my eyes. It didn't do as much damage as I thought it was going to do.
I did, however, really like the Silver Bullet ult. I think it's 10 seconds, right?
Wait, really?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it's about 10 seconds.
Wow, okay. That I wasn't quite sure of. I thought it was somewhere along 50 seconds, but maybe I was just...
No, not the cooldown. the duration.
Oh, the duration. Okay,
It's
I was
10
about to say 10-second cooldown. That would be crazy.
No, oh god, no.
That
10-second vulnerability in a team fight pretty much means that they have to either get out of the team fight or die.
Yeah, exactly. They have to like put in there. They have to commit to a team fight right then and there, or else their tank is going to get blown up, or whatever target you may make vulnerable. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, the more I thought about it, the more it's grown on me. Originally, I wasn't very impressed, but I do think it is the stronger out of the two. I like what you said earlier as well about being able to talent based on the form you want. So you can really have the stronger kit for the type of character you want to play. If you want to play an auto attack assassin, like an auto attack ranged assassin, you can talent that. If you want to play as someone who jumps in for the kill like a butcher, then you can play like that.
And I think that's going to open up a lot of flexibility with his character. You can draft him pretty early, and then build him depending on how your draft turned out or what you need.
Yeah,
and I think that's a really strong option to have in a competitive game.
Mm-hmm. I think both forms he has pretty good damage. So I think like in general, I feel like his kit and his damage kind of is pretty strong, all things considered. Do I think he's going to be an all-star in every single situation? Probably not, but I think he's a very well-rounded character that can shine in a bunch of different scenarios given the amount of flexibility in his kit. I think that's where his strengths lie, is being like a jack of all trades.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
He's really strong auto attacks too.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree.
Not as strong as Butcher, but
no.
I think stronger than Raynor.
Yeah, I was impressed by his laning ability as well. I completely destroyed a Nazebo in lane. It felt very good.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say about playing him is you really feel like you have some sort of lifesteal just because the design of the character. You don't. Don't go into games thinking you have lifesteal, because you will die quick.
Yeah, he is pretty squishy as well. I know we were talking about Lunara being squishy, but he is also pretty squishy. You'd expect him to have more damage mitigation in his werewolf form. I believe when they originally put up his character on Battle.net, it said melee warrior. That's not the case. He is a ranged assassin and melee assassin. There is nothing tanky about him. He is pretty squishy.
And I learned that the hard way.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
I thought he would have some sort of sustain, some sort of life steal or health regen or something. I don't know.
I guess
he's a werewolf.
You got to rely on your healer, I guess. Werewolves really like their medics.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Very clearly.
Yeah. So that'll about wrap it up from us. Do you have any closing thoughts on either of these new characters coming out soon?
I think they'll both have a pretty big impact on the meta. I think Lunara might have slightly more of an impact, but I do think Greymane has his place, and I do think he's going to shake things up a bit.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm really excited to see what both of these heroes do for the meta, and what kind of techniques people see to master them. I'm sure that we haven't figured out everything about them far from our games at BlizzCon, so I'm excited to see people tear these characters open and really get to what makes them powerful. All right, guys. Yep. Well, thank you very much for listening to our first Gosu talk about Lunara and Greymane. Be sure to follow Gosu Gamers on Twitter,